Did you know breathing polluted air can lead to respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases, and even impact cognitive function? It's a sobering fact, but it's the reality we face in a world where air pollution is a persistent issue. And the sources? They're as diverse as they are numerous. From vehicle emissions and industrial processes to energy production and waste disposal, these activities release a cocktail of pollutants into the air we breathe. Particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and ground-level ozone, to name a few, pose serious threats to our health. The effect of these pollutants on our health is profound. Breathing in fine particulate matter, for instance, can penetrate deep into our lungs and even enter our bloodstream. This can lead to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancer, heart disease, and stroke. Nitrogen dioxide, on the other hand, can inflame the lining of our lungs and reduce immunity to lung infections. This can cause problems such as wheezing, coughing, colds, flu, and bronchitis. And who's most affected? The answer might surprise you. While we might think of air pollution as a problem confined to major cities or industrial areas, the truth is it's a global issue. In fact, according to the World Health Organization, over 90% of the world's population breathes air that exceeds their guideline limits. But it's not just about the numbers. It's about real people, in real communities, suffering real consequences. Children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing health conditions are particularly vulnerable. They're the ones who bear the brunt of this invisible threat. Air pollution is a silent killer that affects millions worldwide. It's an issue that demands our attention, our understanding, and our action. We owe it to ourselves and future generations to tackle air pollution head-on and strive for cleaner, healthier air for all. Every year, millions of tons of plastic end up in our oceans, causing significant harm to marine life and ecosystems. This is a crisis of global proportions, a silent invader that's altering the face of our blue planet. Now let's get a sense of the scale here. Imagine 5 grocery bags filled with plastic for every foot of coastline in the world. That's about the amount of plastic waste that enters the oceans each year. It's a staggering amount, isn't it? And here's where it gets even more alarming. Marine life, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales, is being affected. Sea creatures often mistake plastic for food. Consuming these materials can lead to malnutrition, internal injuries, and even death. But the impact doesn't stop there. These plastics eventually break down into tiny particles known as microplastics. They're so small that they can infiltrate entire food chains, from the microscopic organisms up to the top predators. And guess who's at the top of that food chain? That's right, us. These microplastics, laden with toxins, find their way into our diets through the fish and seafood we consume. They've even been found in table salts and drinking water. So the plastic pollution crisis is not just an environmental issue. It's a human health issue too. The consequences of plastic pollution are felt from the depths of the ocean to the food on our plates. Did you know that industrial discharges, agricultural runoff, and improper waste disposal can contaminate our water sources? That's right. Water, the lifeblood of our planet, is under threat. Picture this. Factories dumping waste into rivers, pesticides seeping into groundwater from farms, and plastic litter choking our oceans. These are just some of the ways water pollution rears its ugly head. Now, you may ask, how does this affect drinking water? Well, contaminants can infiltrate water supplies, turning what should be a pure, life-giving resource into a carrier of harmful substances. Heavy metals, chemicals, and microplastics can find their way into our taps, potentially causing a host of health problems. From gastrointestinal illnesses to reproductive issues and neurological disorders, the risks are real and wide-ranging. But it's not just about us. Water pollution also wreaks havoc on ecosystems. Aquatic life suffocates amidst pollutants and biodiversity dwindles. It's a ripple effect. When one species suffers, the entire food chain feels the impact. So, what can we do? Awareness is the first step. Understanding the sources of water pollution and its effects is essential. Then we can make conscious choices like reducing plastic use, disposing of waste responsibly, and supporting clean water initiatives. Water pollution jeopardizes the safety of our most essential resource, drinking water. Let's not take it for granted. Our health and the health of our planet depends on it. Improper disposal of waste, including hazardous materials, contributes to soil degradation, loss of biodiversity, and even the contamination of agricultural crops. Land pollution, often a result of our throwaway culture, is a significant issue that's frequently swept under the rug. From household trash to industrial waste, the sources are plentiful, and the consequences severe. This form of pollution directly impacts soil health, reducing fertility and rendering land unfit for agriculture. The twist in the tale, it doesn't just stop there. With the soil compromised, we also see a ripple effect on biodiversity. A polluted environment can be hostile for many species, leading to their decline or even extinction. Moreover, land pollution poses potential health risks for us. Consuming crops grown in polluted soil or exposure to contaminated dust can lead to serious health problems. In essence, land pollution affects the very foundation of our ecosystems, and it's high time we addressed it. Excessive artificial light disrupts ecosystems, affecting wildlife behavior and migration patterns. This phenomenon is known as light pollution, a less talked about form of pollution that's much more than a mere inconvenience. Imagine a world where night never falls. For many animals, this is their reality due to the overwhelming presence of artificial light. Creatures that rely on natural light cycles for feeding, mating, and migration have their lives thrown into disarray. Birds, for instance, can be drawn off their migratory paths, leading to exhaustion or even death. But the effects aren't limited to wildlife. Light pollution interferes with our human health too. It disturbs our sleep cycles, leading to a range of health issues from insomnia to depression. It's a stark reminder that our actions have far-reaching consequences. Light pollution is an often overlooked issue with significant implications for our health and the environment. So, let's pay attention to the lights and remember to switch off when they're not needed. Constant exposure to loud noises can lead to stress, hearing loss, and even cardiovascular problems. Now that's a heavy statement, isn't it? Well, let's delve into it a bit. Noise pollution, an often overlooked aspect of pollution, is pervasive in our modern world. It's the constant hum of traffic, the relentless drone of construction, the ceaseless roar of factories. From the vibrant cities that never sleep to the industrial zones hard at work around the clock, the world is a pretty noisy place. But how does this all affect us? Well, let's start with stress. Constant noise can keep our bodies in a state of alert, leading to increased stress levels. Over time, this can contribute to a host of health problems, including sleep disturbances, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Then there's hearing loss. Prolonged exposure to loud noise can damage the hair cells in our ears that help us hear. And once these cells are damaged, there's no bringing them back. This can lead to permanent hearing impairment. Finally, studies have suggested that chronic noise exposure may even contribute to cardiovascular problems. This is likely due to the stress response, which can increase heart rate and blood pressure, putting strain on the cardiovascular system. In short, noise pollution is more than just an annoyance. It's a pervasive issue that affects our overall well-being. It's something we should all be mindful of in our daily lives. Pollution, especially in the form of greenhouse gas emissions, contributes significantly to global warming. It's a fact that's both sobering and undeniable. Greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide and methane, are released into the atmosphere through various human activities. This includes burning fossil fuels for electricity, heat, and transportation, as well as deforestation and industrial processes. But it's not just air pollution that's a concern. Land and water pollution also play a part in our changing climate. For instance, when harmful chemicals are improperly disposed of, they can seep into the soil and waterways, affecting plant life. These plants play a crucial role in absorbing carbon dioxide, one of the main greenhouse gases. When their ability to do so is compromised, it can exacerbate global warming. Then there's the issue of plastic pollution. As plastic waste breaks down, it can release potent greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This is a newly recognized source of emissions that's still being studied, but the initial findings are concerning. The link between pollution and climate change is not just a matter of science, it's a matter of our future. Understanding this link is crucial as we work towards sustainable practices to mitigate climate change. We need to address pollution in all its forms if we are to effectively combat global warming. The link between pollution and climate change is undeniable, and understanding it is key to our sustainable future.